Welcome to Scars to Stars, where conversations and personal stories let us know we are not alone. In this show, you will meet authors and speakers from our books and events as they share vulnerable personal stories to spread hope and inspire you through adversities in your own life. The world is a difficult place. You will find like-minded people here with kind hearts and supportive souls. I am your host, Dina Brown Mitchell. I am a suicide survivor and the founder of the Realize Foundation. I am so glad you are here. Let's dig into this meaningful conversation. Hi, everyone. It's Dina at the Realize Foundation, and I'm back with another special guest. Today, we have Jen with us that's going to talk about a great healing journey that I've learned through about reading about you. And I can't wait to share your story with our audience. So welcome, Jen, and I'd like you to introduce yourself however you'd like.
Thank you, Dan, for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And you got, yes, Jen Greenhut, founder of Love Zero Negative, based on a triple negative cancer diagnosis, stage 4, where I had basically a 12% chance of living or surviving till year 5. And I was cancer-free in 4 months because I really thought choosing love and how I embraced my diagnosis with like an open mind and curiosity to believe that it was coming to help me and not to hurt me. Foundation called the Zero Negative Foundation, where we give back to cancer patients. And I can totally talk about all that as we go on, but I didn't want to, tell everything right away.
Sure. I think I would like to start in like how you even found out that was a diagnosis and you know what that was like.
Yeah, the beginning was like the craziest part of the whole journey. So did I lose you, by the way? Or are you there?
I'm sorry, I just do that so I can have a clip of you by yourself.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to make sure, like, you didn't go away and just get disconnected. Okay,
No, it's okay.
take 2. No, so the beginning, I was basically a newlywed, married for a year and a half, and really wanting to have a baby and a family. And so my husband and I were going through round and round of IVF. And after 3 rounds and no baby, I was hitting rock bottom, feeling like my purpose of being a mother wasn't being fulfilled. And so I was really depressed. And I was also married to the love of my life. So I was really happy and I was really depressed because I didn't know how to be happy without not having a child. And my husband was like, let's take a little break and rest your body and we'll get a dog. And so I was like, okay, we'll get a dog. But still feeling a little lost in life, like, what am I going to do if I don't have a child? And then about 4 to 6 months later, I just noticed a lump under my arm. It was on my right side, and I was doing yoga. I was doing upward facing dog, and I was like, ugh, I got to deal with this now. I thought it was just like a fatty cyst. And I went to the doctor, and within 1 week, I was diagnosed with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer, a breast cancer that I never even heard of before. It's apparently the most aggressive type of breast cancer, and having a stage 4 diagnosis, basically I was given a death sentence. I had 12% chance of living past 5 years. And it was shocking. It was traumatic. It was the feeling that life and the universe was totally against me and wanting to kill me, because I felt, oh, now I get it. My purpose of being a mother isn't being fulfilled. And so let's get her out of here. She's worthless in this lifetime now. She's failed at her purpose, and let's let her come back. That was like my mindset. And it made sense because I actually realized I did not love myself at this time. But I also didn't want to die because I felt like I had just gotten married. I didn't even start my life yet. And I prayed for a sign, like, please, if there's a God, if there's a doctor that can help save my life, please let me find him. And I also made a deal. I said, if you let me live, I promise I will dedicate my life to helping patients and to giving back to cancer research and to really being part of a team that will help find a cure. So that was our deal. I started looking into oncologists, and I had 3 appointments. The first appointment was with an oncologist, said, "I'm sorry, stage 4 is incurable. The best we could do is try to keep it from growing." So doctor number 1 was not a good fit. Next, doctor number 2 said, "I wanna do a 4-hour surgery on your sternum bone to see how much cancer is there before we start aggressively treating your tumors." Again, saying, "This is incurable, but the best we can do is help it from growing, stop it from growing." And I said, "Okay, let me keep looking." Doctor number 3 immediately he put his hand out, he said, "I'm Dr. Slayman." I said, "I'm Jen Greenhut." I felt calm immediately. He examined me for about 45 minutes. He said, "With stage 4, we're treating you with chemotherapy, 6 rounds, double mastectomy, 6 weeks of radiation, and then removing of your ovaries." And he said, "I know that you wanted to have a baby. You'll never be able to get pregnant, but I wanted you to know if you had gotten pregnant, that pregnancy most likely would have killed you." And in that one very moment, my entire mindset shifted, and I saw everything in my life was working out for a reason. Everything was working out for me. Not getting pregnant was the best thing that ever happened to me. And so, if that was the best thing, and if everything had been working out before, everything is still working out now. And so I saw cancer as a gift, and I saw it as a gift from the universe, from God. It's supposed to teach me something, and I'm going to go through this, and it's going to be the best thing to happen to me. It's going to be the best thing to happen to my husband. And I just trusted. I went on this roller coaster ride and see where it's going to lead me. I looked for the lessons. The major lesson that I had to heal was all this self-critic judgment mind that I had about myself and not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And I started on this path of self-love and grateful for every day that I had, grateful for this treatment that I got to receive, grateful for finding this doctor that I believed could save my life. I was grateful for chemotherapy. I said, "Thank you for allowing me to receive this healing medicine." And I just put those words, the intention, into the medicine. It's not poison, it's healing medicine that can possibly save my life. And I felt my tumor dissolve within 3 rounds of chemo. My doctor was shocked. He was like, "I can't find anything." And I kept thinking, "Oh my goodness, what have I uncovered? The superpowers, love, gratitude, and trust." And so as I went through chemo, obviously chemo is still not an easy journey to go through, but my husband and I made it fun. I said, "Okay, I have to lose my hair, but I get to experience life without hair." And we got a bunch of wigs, and we played the game of different characters, and it was just kind of leaning into the creative side as opposed to leaning into the negative side. "Oh my God, I'm losing my hair. What's going to happen to my hair? Will it ever grow back?" And the choice is how we want to use our mind. And it was such a powerful, profound lesson that our mind kind of really creates our reality. And as I was going through cancer, stage 4, I saw life in such a different way that filled me with so much joy and passion and purpose. So cut to being cancer-free in 4 months, having this passion that if I can do this, I'm a normal person, anybody can do this. Anybody can change their mindset. So I developed a design, an accessory that says love. It was a perfect chemo bag because it fit all of the necessities and all the things you bring into a chemo round. And it also was an accessory that was super cute. And so we developed a line with tote bags and crossbody bags and fanny packs and clutches, all to spread the message that love is a choice. Love will surround you, love will protect you, love will guide you. And every time you carry the bag, you're reminded that love is a choice. And also, every bag will give back to the foundation I started, the Zero Negative Foundation, which supports cancer patients going through treatment. And so we started a chemo love tote program where we fill the tote bags with essential items like fuzzy blankets, fuzzy socks, a journal, water bottle, some mantras, some prayers, some playlists, and we send it to patients going through treatment. And so I love the idea that I'm able to build a company, I'm able to help patients, and I still have this promise that I fulfilled with God that I'm giving back to cancer patients and cancer research. And so it's been 8 years now, and it's just starting to like really blossom. It's been, I think the hardest thing was not getting through stage 4 cancer, but is like building a company and becoming a businesswoman that I was never really a businesswoman before. I was always like creative person, but in between the whole cancer and foundation, my husband and I wrote a book really honoring the caregiver journey as part of the whole package. And his name was Larry. We called it Everyone Needs a Larry because it was sharing the story of the patient and the caregiver, how we got through love, how we got through marriage, how we got through stage 4 cancer. And we hope that other people can learn from our mistakes and our lessons and just believe that they too can get to the other side stronger and better and wiser from the whole experience. And so, like you, yeah, it's a scar that became a star for sure.
Yeah. I love that. I love how you talked about your mindset and how powerful it is because it's true. I've actually been sick for almost the last year, and there's just a lot of stuff going on in my body, and it's not getting better, in a lot of ways. And it's the same thing, some days you get up and you're like, you're in that bad headspace, and you have to find a way to get out of it. But if you can, and you can look at the positive side, and you can just keep thinking about what you want to happen and the positive part of it, it will get you through. And I'm a firm believer of that too. And obviously you have proof that works because
Yeah.
cancer free in 4 months when they were giving you 12% is crazy.
Crazy. And it's also so like inspiring because energetically, like our cells vibrate on a level of what our mind is thinking. So if we're like full of stress and fear or anger, resentment, our cells are going to be not as energetic, they're going to be listless and numb and like so vulnerable to just getting cancer or not getting healthy. And so it's not easy to not be afraid when you have a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, but it was also like such a knowing that I might die, I might not die. But even if I am going to die in 2 years or 1 year, I want every day from here on out to be amazing. And I don't want to lose one day not appreciating this gift of life. So whatever we have to go through, cancer, death, divorce, loss, we still get to go through it because this is all part of our journey being here. And the other alternative is we don't get to go through it, we're dead, we don't we don't have the gift of life. Life comes with so many challenges, so we can't not have life and not have challenges.
True. And like we were talking about before about Scars to Stars and what it means, and the story behind it, and people can read about that if they don't know. But I think we were talking about how, if we don't have the scars, we don't learn certain lessons that we need to move forward. And I think that makes me emotional, but just that what the story you just told is proof of that. Like, if you would have gotten pregnant and you thought that was the best thing ever, it might have been detrimental.
It most likely would have been detrimental, and my husband would have been left with no baby, no wife. And it's just like, what's that saying where like you might have a plan, but your plan doesn't mean anything, compared to like what the big plan is. And how I've been able to process it is that I look at humanity as like my children now. I know if I had my own baby, I would be so focused on that one baby, and just my life would be about our family and our situation and this child. And now it's just like a bigger mission, and humanity is my children. And I kind of look at stage 4 cancer is the world has stage 4 cancer now. The world is suffering from self-love because we would not be so angry, so unkind, so disconnected if we all loved ourselves so much. I think there's so much fear. There's so much like disconnection. There's so much not even being aware that we're afraid, or we're, operating on such a level that's not helping us.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we fix the world? We fix ourselves, and we heal ourselves. And so helping one person at a time, to me, is very powerful, because it just takes that one person to heal. That will be the big picture, because we're all like these little cells in this big world. The big world is like this one human being, and we're all like cells, and we all have a purpose. We're all special. We're all needed. But we're not operating together, it seems. So, that's sort of my mind, how I embrace the big picture. We're all part of the whole.
Yeah, that I agree with you 100%. I'm wondering how you came up with the idea of your product line. I mean, I'm guessing you were sitting in chemo thinking about what people need, but I would love you to tell that story.
So, okay, it's a great story, and it just makes me also remember that everyone is in our life for a reason. Even if they're only in our life for a year or a day, like we all are connecting dots for each other. So I was, once I started to really embrace the stage 4 cancer, and like, I was like, knowing this is all going to be okay. This is going to be the best thing that happened to me.
Hi there, it's Dina. If you like our podcast and you're enjoying learning about other people's stories of overcoming adversity, please go over to therealizefoundation.org and support us by donating. We believe that conversations, community, and personal story can change lives and reduce suicide ideation. And we also have a way, if you have a business, you can support us without money out of your pocket. So go on over to realizefoundation.org and look at the donate page, and you can learn how to support us as a business, and also you can donate any amount. Thank you so much.
I was so passionate about how do I find a way to raise money for my team of doctors in cancer research at UCLA, which is where I did my treatment. And my friend, who at the time, she's not doing it anymore. At the time, she was a designer, and she had this beach bag in her closet, and it said love, but she wasn't doing anything with it. She was moving into catering in that world. And it just like hit me, like, this bag, it's the perfect size for a chemo bag. It says love. Can I develop this line and call it like the Love Collection? And she was like, sure, go run with it. So that's sort of how it all started, with this one beach bag that was in my friend's closet that said love. And one of my other friends, who has a whole manufacturing company, helped me get the line going and up. And now you see what we have. And hopefully we'll have the gratitude collection after the love collection, but we're about to get a whole new round of colors. And so I'm super excited, and I'm actually getting them this week. So we're going to be launching a new black tote, a new crossbody, a new black clutch, a new accessory like a love strap, and just some great colors that I'm super excited about. So it's fun. I never thought I'd have an accessory company, but, and it's not, I just can't consider it just an accessory company. It's like an intentional accessory that gives back to cancer patients and cancer research. So, and it's a reminder every time you pick it up and you put it on your shoulder, you're like choosing love. It's a reminder and a choice.
That's awesome. I love that. Love that. So what is your life like now as a business owner, and how do you take care of yourself daily?
Well, that's an amazing work in progress. I find myself just constantly like I'm always feeling a little overwhelmed and like, oh my God, I forgot to do this or I forgot to do that. I have some people on my team that are really helpful. And what I do, like I take a walk if I feel overly stressed or do some yoga. I like to move my body, but for the most part, I'm at a computer working on, content, working on like pictures, working on posting, working on uh, how to get, more investing money or more capital. Eventually I feel like I've done so much by myself and I'm kind of totally open and putting out there in the universe, like looking for a partner that wants to kind of be on the more business side, director of operations, and me more on the creative side.
Got it.
So that's where
Yeah.
I'd love it to go at some point. And then
Business.
it's just, yeah, running the foundation too. And you have a foundation, you know how much work that is, and dealing with the board and dealing with all the fundraisers. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So it's just nonstop moving.
It is. Owning a business is not for the faint of heart. I'm on number 7, I think, in my
Wow.
life. But I think, I've had massive failures and massive success. So it's just, what you make of it. And I also think when you get to a place where you're running a company, your self-care looks a lot different than, if you had a job or you were working from home or something like that. Because when you own a business, it's just a lot more pressure, a lot more stress that are, and how do we handle that? So that's something I talk about a lot outside of this foundation. And I'm really passionate about that as well, because I spent decades just working 18 hours a day and putting everyone else first. And you have to learn how to put yourself first and create boundaries. And when I did that in my business in 2018, our revenue doubled the next year. And I was scared that it was going to be like, oh, I'm going to give up, I'm going to delegate more, and I'm going to, focus on putting myself first more than I was. And I was like, well, maybe this is going to hurt my business. And it did the opposite. So,
It says a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question about the book, because I heard you speak about it, so I know a little bit about the story. But the book that is, Everyone Needs a Larry. Like, tell us about Larry.
Larry is the best caregiver, I would say, just because his idea of being a caregiver wasn't that he knew what he was doing. It was just that he knew he was showing up for whatever was needed. And he never thought he was supposed to be married to a wife who was going to die. Like, in his mind, his story was not losing a wife. So right away in the beginning, he believed that I was going to be okay, even with all the odds and the statistics and stuff. There was something in him that believed I was going to be okay. And I think that really was awesome, because he was able to get to that place even before I got to that place. And what was interesting, we were newlywed. We were only married for a year and a half. So many people came up to him or me, like they would say, "You're so lucky he's not leaving. He didn't sign up for this." And I was like, well, I mean, he doesn't think I'm going to die. So like, it would be weird if he left. And people were saying, "You're such a good guy for not leaving." And he was like, "I love this woman. This is my wife. Why would I leave?" So it was an interesting thing that, and it was a realization that a lot of guys do leave, so I felt like already fortunate. Okay, I have a good guy. I knew I had a good guy. However, my great guy is also very ADHD. We went to our first oncology appointment. It was before COVID. So this was where everybody could come to my doctor appointment. So we had my mom, we had my sister, we had my husband. Some of the appointments, we even had my little dog. But the first appointment, we're in a rush, we're running late. So Larry decides, you guys get out, I'll go park the car. So I get out on the passenger seat. My sister gets out in the back. My mom gets out on the other side of the back, and she's almost out. But then he starts driving his car, runs over her foot. We all scream, like, stop. And then he just backs up over her foot. So basically, that's how we started our entire journey with doctors, with my mom coming up as a patient, being wheeled up in a wheelchair to examine her foot. I'm finding out in the other office that I have stage 4 cancer. So that's Larry. Yet, thankfully, my mom's foot was okay. So, and Larry, never got to live it down. But no, it was a crazy journey. I mean, there was times where he's exhausted, like I'm exhausted, but he's not allowed to say he's exhausted. He has to like keep everything inside and just, honey, I need this, honey, I need that, honey, and so sometimes, it was almost like we were too tired to argue. So if we felt like there were feelings that weren't being heard or shared, we ended up doing a lot of writing, like writing of emails. So we put a lot of that in our book. Some emails were, I can't believe you did this, or, some emails where I'm so proud of you, so they were just all over emotions and how we process things. But, at the end of the day, we definitely grew and got stronger, and it made us better and not worse. And we like to think, we got all the hard stuff out of the way in the beginning. So, that's just a thought.
Yeah.
Life is still hard, but
I think it always will be.
Yeah. But so recently we've had to deal with all the LA fires. That's been the latest challenge. My family, my parents, they lost everything in the Palisades. They lost their home, all of our memories, all of the pictures, like their entire life in that house just went down. And my sister and her husband and kids also in the Palisades. So we all had to evacuate for 2.5 weeks, not even knowing if our house was going to stand. And luckily our house was unaffected, but so we had to deal with finding them a house. And even now still dealing with so much insurance, and are they going to rebuild? Are they not going to, there's so many questions. And so everyone still needs a Larry, because Larry is able to handle a lot of like that stuff. He just loves dealing with stuff that nobody else wants to deal with, like insurance companies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think everyone does need a Larry. You might have to clone him.
Everyone needs a Larry, yeah. He has a company called The Best You, based on what he learned as a caregiver. But so it's kind of like he helps people get back on their feet through challenging times. So it could be anything, like somebody was a widow and lost her house in a fire. So he's helping her build her house and get back on her feet. There's somebody who's going through a huge divorce and, didn't know how to write a check, basically. So it's like he helps them get grounded again. So it's kind of like a caregiver, but it's whatever they need.
That's really awesome. Maybe we need to have a conversation with Larry.
He's a fun one to have a conversation with.
But I would like to ask you too about writing a book and when you published it, and I've written one book solo. I've written a lot of anthologies, but writing a book is a big deal. And I think some people think it's just, they just write stuff and then you just put it on Amazon or something, but it's bigger than that. And I think it's that part of like taking your inner thoughts and actually giving it to the world to read. And sometimes that can be scary. So I wonder how your experience was with publishing that.
First of all, I loved the process. It was very cathartic. I didn't think it was going to be about me and Larry. I just thought it was going to be about, I wanted to share my story and the process. And I also journaled the entire time I was in treatment. And, I'm a journaler just in general. So it was a very natural process for me. For Larry, it was a little harder. He thought he would be an amazing writer because he's an amazing talker. But it was almost like we worked with an editor who guided the structure, which was really helpful, and somebody kind of like a director, and we were like the actors. And there were a lot of questions that we would give Larry to help us with his thoughts and thinking, but then we could kind of put it into the book in a way that would flow better with everything. And the way we wrote it, Larry's a lot louder than me. So like my text was just regular text and his was in bold. So you would know like who was talking. And it was kind of like we argued in the book, like we jumped off the page and argued like, wait, that didn't happen. Wait, that didn't happen. So it was very fun for me to write and also very tedious. The amount of editing that goes through, like after the first edit, then the second edit, then the third edit, and then, just looking for design, and then you got to edit it for the Kindle. And, I've always wanted to do the audiobook, but we haven't gotten to that yet. But it was a rough process. The fact that it was during COVID was probably the only way we were able to really like get it done, because we just had all that time.
Yeah.
At home, what are we going to do? Let's write a book.
That's true.
So yeah, the timing was great. Our goal, and it's in the process right now, is to make it into a movie, like a comedy rom-com kind of thing. Like when Harry met Sally, then Sally gets cancer. That's how we like to describe it.
That would be great, because I think like you said in the beginning, when you first get that diagnosis, all the things that you hear about cancer come flooding into your head, but you don't really know what to expect if you've never been through that. And I think that would be great for people to, understand more. I know there's books and movies or documentaries, all kinds of things about cancer, but I think you guys seem so personable and so authentic about talking about it real.
Yeah.
That it seems like maybe that could be helpful for people when you get the diagnosis, you get homework to, read Everyone Needs a Larry.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean, that was kind of one of our goals, and that's also part of the foundation. Like in part of the Chemo Love Hope program, we definitely include a book, definitely, include like ways of working with your mind. And one of the ways that really worked for me was the journaling. Whatever you're feeling, just get it all out. And then what are you grateful for? And switching like, oh, I have to go to chemo. No, you get to go to chemo. You get to receive this medicine that's been designed exactly for you. It's such a powerful shift in how you want to look at it. And so even if you want to believe chemo's poison, telling your body that it's poison is going to close it down to receive possible benefits that you're going to get. And so, even I had to practice this whole mindset thing with the fires. My parents lost their house. What do we get from this? Where is this leading us? Because we still want to believe life is always working out for us and not against us. And so it kind of just keeps the faith and the trust that life is always working out, and okay, we're going to be in a better situation soon. And we're learning how close we are as a family, and that, we always have each other. And that's such a huge lesson and such a special thing,
Yeah.
So it's not ever going to make life not hard, but it will help possibly, not shutting down when it is hard.
Yes.
And, just having that trust.
Yeah. I have one final question for you, and that is, with your foundation, what is your big hairy goal? Like what if you could reach the stars with that, what would that look like?
My goal is to be able to empower as many patients as I can through our Chemo Loved Hope program. So through sending them gifts that they can receive with love, and possibly being able to, that my story can ignite something within them to believe in their cancer journey. And I want to just be able to support every patient that I can getting to the other side of cancer and helping them survive and thrive and not, be defeated. Because I think, and I also want to give as much money back to cancer research as I can. I really believe that we still need medicine, but it's a dance. It's like a husband and wife. It's a partnership, the patient and the medicine, and we're working together. So we can't just say, doctor, fix me. The doctors are doing their job to get the best medicine possible, and we're showing up in the best way possible to receive the gift that they're giving us. So that's my goal, to touch a billion patients who have to go through cancer through the Chemo Loved Hope program.
That's awesome.
And so we never have to really die from cancer ever again.
Yeah. I second that.
Yeah, just a little goal. Just a little goal.
Yeah. Well,
But,
Jen, it's been so great talking to you about
so
this.
great to talk to you.
Thank you for being so open to share your journey.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I hope we stay in touch. And I love what you're doing too. I think it's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so happy you joined us for this conversation. My wish is that you found comfort and hope in your own unique situation. If you resonated with our message, please head over to therealizefoundation.org, where you can apply to write your own story in one of our books. You can also download our 60 Ideas for Self-Care on the resources page. I can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, you are not alone, you are worthy, and you are enough.